Yeah. These are not good episodes at all. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, guys. It's your boy Sly Lancy. We're back with another My Little Pony video. Yes, we are. For reasons that I made very well aware in the first My Little Pony video that I did. And once again, I apologize if I sound a bit out of it right now. I'm still going through my mental health right now, just trying to work through it. I also think I need to get my teeth checked out next month, so I'm just trying to get some videos out right now and work on videos before, I have to get my teeth pulled and I can't speak for a week. But yeah, so yeah, we are back with My Little Pony. We did the characters video the other day, so now we are going to do top 15 worst My Little Pony episodes, in my opinion. When a show is big and is popular and as powerful as My Little Pony Friendship is Magic comes out, it runs the risk of overstaying its welcome, which it kind of did during the late 2010s. So that means that despite how great and quality a lot of episodes are, there are also a lot of bad episodes. And I do mean there's a lot of bad episodes. Specifically for this list, I'm doing 15 because these 15 I say gave me fits more than any of the other episodes. Because a lot of the episodes, they are filler, but then these episodes are just like, they just irritate your soul. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready too. Let's talk about it. The top 15 worst My Little Pony Friendship is Magic episodes, in my opinion. Number 15. Dragon Quest. This episode to me isn't really like bad, but it's just more so just like unnecessary torture corner. Yes, I said torture corner. But yeah, anyway, so the problem with this episode, like I said, is just unnecessary torture towards Spike. The beginning of the episode, however, made me laugh wholeheartedly, with Fluttershy refusing to watch the dragon migration and Rainbow Dash trying to force Fluttershy to go, and Fluttershy just being like, nope. So that bit was funny. Everything else afterwards, though, was definitely not worth the other extra 21 minutes. So yeah, the beginning of the episode begins with the rest of the main six watching the dragon migration along with Spike. And Spike, being the tiny helpless dragon that he is, quote-unquote helpless, gets made fun of and gets babied by the rest of the main six. Later that night, Spike stays up all night wondering about what his true purpose is as a dragon and where he came from, which then eventually leads to him wanting to leave Ponyville so that he can his origins of where he came from and why he's a dragon. And unfortunately though, we still don't know where he came from even after watching this episode. Spike, along with Twilight, Rainbow Dash, and Rarity, who follow right behind him to make sure he's okay, end up going to a dragon lava pit where there's basically a bunch of teenage dragons that just do nothing but pick on and harass Spike for being so tiny and weak and from being from Ponyville. Spike manages to slowly earn the respect of the other teenage dragons though, which scares Twilight, Rarity, and Rainbow because they think he's going to leave Ponyville forever because of that. However, luckily, there came a moment of epiphany for Spike when he came across a phoenix egg and was being peered pressure by the other dragons to smash and destroy it. However, remembering how he became to be a dragon, being a small helpless egg himself before Twilight hatched him, Spike refuses to destroy the egg, leading to the other dragons wanting to take the egg from him so they can destroy themselves personally, which then leads to Twilight, Rarity, and Rainbow dropping their dragon disguise and saving Spike. The bits of actual pure humor that do come in this episode actually do make it funny and makes it not as bad as some of the other episodes on this list, but they're still just unnecessary torture corn like I stated earlier. My favorite moments from this episode probably have to be the Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash bit from the intro, Rarity dropping to her knees like the diva she is because she doesn't want Spike to leave, and then the group hug at the end with all three of them. I thought those three moments right there were the best moments in this entire episode. Number 14. Yakety Sax, Season 8, Episode 18. Easily my least favorite Pinkie Pie episode. But what's even more upsetting though is the fact that Pinkie Pie is also at fault herself in this episode as well. Basically, the episode starts off with Pinkie wanting to learn how to play the Uvitophone because of all the yaks that played the Uvitophone, so Pinkie Pie got interested. But because of how bad she plays the Uvitophone, All her friends and all the strangers basically want Pinkie Pie to stop playing it. Now, keyword, they want her to stop playing it altogether. Not, hey, can you play this somewhere else so that you're not disturbing anyone? No, stop playing the Uvitophone altogether. What? So, Pinkie Pie does stop playing the Uvitophone altogether, which puts my girl in a very, very severe depression. I currently know how you feel, Pinkie. I currently know how you feel right now. Pinkie's depression got so severe that she decided to leave Ponyville altogether, and the main six only found that out through Maud, which again, really is crazy to think about that Pinkie Pie would take it to that extreme length. This episode feels like the main six just completely forgot how to communicate with each other, and the reason why they're the main six to begin with. Twilight, Fluttershy, Rarity, Applejack, and Rainbow Dash are all being very insensitive towards why Pinkie Pie stopped playing the Uvitophone and why she got so severely depressed to begin with. On top of that, I don't think it was right for Pinkie Pie to gaslit the other six into playing the Uvitophone again either. Again, there's just none of the main six in this episode is fairly likable, and I feel like the message could have been done so much better than what it was given. If there's any appreciation I do have for this episode, it's the fact that Pinkie Pie was willing to try out a different culture, which shows that she's very open-minded towards different cultures. Number 13. Uprooted, Season 9, Episode 3. There's a lot of bad episodes in Seasons 8 and Seasons 9 of My Little Pony. A lot of them, and not even like bad and like, oh my goodness, like what they were doing, but just more like a lot of these episodes are just very, very forgettable. Uprooted, however, though, definitely points out the flaws, and it's the episode that made me realize the main reason why I'm not a big fan of the young main six, because it just feels like their inclusion was absolutely unnecessary, and the writers didn't have any good idea of how to go about this story. There are so many conflicts that happen at the same time in this episode that it feels like it needs 2 episodes to tell the story, because it feels like they have to rush everything just so everything can wrap up properly. That's the main reason I have a lot of issues with this episode. There's been episodes like this in the past where the OG main six had issues that they all had to figure out themselves, but it didn't come across as like forced. It came across very natural. This episode feels so forced with a lot of the pacing, a lot of the writing, and a lot of the conflicts. Number 12. Father Knows Best, Season 8, Episode 24. In this episode, apparently we get to see Spike's deadbeat of a dad finally show up to see his son for the first time. Or at least that's what we think happens, because apparently the guy was lying about being Spike's father to begin with. So now we still don't know who Spike's parents are or what his origins are. Also in this episode too, another moment in this episode that really like grills my gears a bit is the fact that Spike comes off very insensitive towards Twilight. Yes, I know Twilight wasn't the best mother or best of friend towards Spike, especially if you look at a lot of the earlier seasons where he basically acted as a pet towards her rather than an actual like friend. So I can get Spike's frustration, but at the same time it did feel very, very morose of Spike to say that Twilight was not his actual parent. Like, you could literally see Twilight's heart breaking into a million pieces. Right? They literally animated it. And then after that sequence, we're granted a lot of weird gags and like gross out humor with Spike and his apparently quote-unquote father, which again, I am not a big fan of. So, this episode really served no purpose other than to further derail Spike's character, while also showing that Season 8 is the worst season of My Little Pony easily. Number 8. Horseplay, Season 8, Episode 5. Here we are 5 slots in, and this is the 3rd episode from Season 8 that's making this worst list. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so Horseplay is basically, it's a conflict that was unnecessarily created by Twilight herself. Twilight was Twilighting the whole entire process, and then she crashed out so hard at the end, even though I would say this is one of the few times that her crash outs was not justified, because she created this whole scenario herself. All she had to do was actually listen to Applejack, which yes, I'm defending Applejack for once. All she had to do was listen to Applejack and tell Princess Celestia that she doesn't think she should, act in the play because she's not a good enough actor. You could have just easily pulled Celestia to the side and said that. Have Celestia be involved in the play somewhere else or somewhere different. Or if not, help Celestia learn and practice acting, Celestia's humble enough to accept learning to practice. And like I said, Twilight's crash out at the end where Princess Celestia hears her also was a very, very hard moment to watch. And now the play is about to be ruined unless the main six can get it fixed, and Twilight has to get Princess Celestia back. Now, I don't blame Princess Celestia for running away the way she did, but I also feel like that kind of goes against everything Princess Celestia stands for, because Princess Celestia is supposed to be this very forgiving princess. I understand in the heat of the moment, especially because acting was something Celestia wanted to do growing up, so I can understand why she ran away, but I still think that was a bit out of reach for her character, I feel. The rest of the episode plays out okay. It makes up for what happened somewhat earlier in the episode, so I'm not going to rag on this episode too much, but again, this did just feel like unnecessary drama just for the sake of making an episode. Number 10. Honest Apple, Season 7, Episode 9. Probably my least favorite Rarity and Applejack centered episode. And that's saying a lot because I love when these two get together. But this episode just kind of feels like it was more unnecessary drama created. just like the last entry. Rarity wants Applejack to be a judge for her fashion show because she knows Applejack will tell it like it is, because she is the element of honesty after all. However, though, because Applejack is not fashion forward, Applejack has a hard time basically differentiating constructive criticism and just being a straight up hater and saying that, fashion is a waste of time. The judges, obviously and rightfully being offended, decide to cancel the whole show, much to Rarity's despair. Rarity then has to go out and teach Applejack a lesson. Not that type of lesson. Stop thinking like that. A lesson in which basically you have to figure out how to learn to tell the truth, but do it in a constructive and positive way, even if you disagree with someone. So basically, Rarity goes and takes Applejack to the house of Strawberry Sunrise so that they can have a simple debate about which is better, strawberries or apples. And because her pride will not allow her to lose an argument, Applejack gets so unbelievably triggered at Strawberry Sunrise claiming strawberries is better than apples that it literally makes Applejack so angry. Almost kind of like how fans that ship different characters in a franchise end up getting into toxic debates and wars online because they claim a certain ship is better than another ship. So if Applejack represented the Son Amy fans, then Strawberry Sunrise represents the Shad Amy fans. So for Strawberry Sunrise, she basically prefers strawberries, or in this case Shad Amy, because they taste better, and the dynamic between Amy and Shadow is much better than the dynamic between Sonic and Amy. And that's just her honest opinion because she was asked it, not because she was telling other people how they should think, but because she was asked that question. So basically, Applejack gets so offended at the fact that Sunrise prefers strawberries or Shad Amy over apples and Son Amy, and it pisses Applejack off, and Rarity claims that it's just her honest opinion, which Applejack at first was very annoyed with before she realizes the true hidden meaning and message behind why Rarity got those two together to have that debate, basically. Upon realizing her mistake, Applejack goes to make everything right by kidnapping the judges and bringing them back to Ponyville so that she can fix the situation. Oh my gosh, yeah, Applejack, you're at your worst in this episode. Luckily, Applejack's able to make everything right in the end, while also still staying true to her character and element as being honest, but she also learns how to deliver that honesty in a more positive tone. This episode was basically Applejack creating more unnecessary problems and then getting frustrated about it. I also blame Rarity too, because Rarity was the one who brought Applejack into this mess when Applejack initially wasn't on board with this idea. So they're both at fault in this episode. This is the main reason why this still is my least favorite Rarity Jack episode. Number 9. Dragon Dropped from Season 9, Episode 19. The one thing I can appreciate season 9 for is that it takes a lot of the loose ends that were happening throughout the entire series and it kind of ties them up in this nice little bow on top way. But I can't say that every single episode that did that landed on that properly or perfectly. The main reason I say that is because this episode right here with Rarity and Spike comes to mind anytime I think of something like that. So basically, throughout this entire series, Spike has been a massive simp and servant for Rarity ever since the beginning of the show. And however, one particular day, Spike isn't as lovey-dovey or as willing to help Rarity anymore like he was in the older seasons, because this time around, he's got a lot more going on. He has a lot more friends, he has a lot more events that he's got to attend to, and all that. Mainly his friend, Gabby. Rarity becomes so worried at the thought of Spike not wanting to hang out with her or help her with anything anymore. Absolutely scares her ever-living being. So much so that she actively does everything she can to sabotage Gabby and Spike's relationship. So you mean to tell me that this girl, who's very self-aware of the fact that Spike had a crush on her from the very beginning of the show, can't take the fact that Spike doesn't want to simp for her anymore? It's such a gross storyline too, because Spike is a little kid and then Rarity is a grown-ass woman, so it's like you wonder why Rarity would even feel this way or even be jealous of the fact that Spike is hanging out with someone that isn't her. And if this episode was shown to the wrong person and they didn't have context about Spike and Rarity's relationship, you would think that Rarity was basically grooming Spike and being a predator towards Spike. So yeah, that's not good at all. And I know I sound like a broken record, but thank goodness Rarity learned her lesson at the end and is allowing Spike to grow up and be himself and do the things that he wants to do now that he's maturing and getting older. I just feel like, and you know what, this episode makes sense in terms of the storyline, but again, if no one had context of what was happening with Rarity and Spike, they would have thought it was a very predatory thing that Rarity was doing. So this episode ranks very low on this list because of the predatory vibes that it kind of gives off, even though that shouldn't be the main reason why you hate this episode. But again, Rarity is once again in a bad light because she's using her beauty and gorgeousness to get what she wants out of people, and when she realizes that that doesn't work anymore, she becomes a completely different person. Number 8. Baby Cakes from Season 2, Episode 13. This episode is basically another torture corn episode. Basically, this episode, just take out Spike and put in Pinkie Pie and then add 2 babies in the mix and take out all the dragons and stuff. So you get an episode where Pinkie Pie, who actually does become a mother later in the series, Pinkie Pie has to take care of 2 babies. Well, not has to. She willingly chose to want to babysit the 2 babies. But these 2 little demons are so freaking out of control that it literally drives Pinkie Pie up a wall and drives her to have a mental breakdown. And only after she has the mental breakdown that the babies finally listen to her. And because she apparently did such a great job with the babies, quote unquote great job with the babies, Pinkie's basically offered to babysit them again, much to her initial doubts at first before she finally agreed to it. So yeah, with Pinkie Pie being my favorite character, this episode, I know I said that Yakety Sax was the worst Pinkie Pie episode, but I meant that in terms of the fact that no one was likable in that episode. This episode, however, I just feel bad for Pinkie Pie because she's literally doing everything she can to take care of these babies, and these babies are not listening whatsoever. And I know, you know, babies and children, they have a lot of maturing to do, so they're not going to listen or pay attention to you. But I just felt I wanted to cry for Pinkie Pie in this episode. Number 7. Non-compete clause from Season 8, Episode 9. Okay, so it goes like this. Take the episode Fairweather Friends from Season 1, then you just dip it in the Season 8 sauce, and then watch how the taste of that episode tastes much worse with the Season 8 sauce on it. I'm not sure if that metaphor ran well with anybody, but basically what I'm basically saying is that Fairweather Friends is a great episode, and this episode is the exact opposite of Fairweather Friends. So we have the rivalry between AJ and Rainbow, and unfortunately, because they're both now school teachers in the season 8 setting, they basically take their competitiveness and take it to the school setting, which again is not necessary. So once again, I'm already tuning out because I'm not a big fan of the whole school is friendship thing, and I'm not a big fan of the young main six. So this, and what's funny is this should have been a saving grace for me for this episode, but it just felt way too out of character for Rainbow Dash and Applejack, even way more than usual. I get that they're both competitive as heck, but this episode they were willing to endanger the lives of every kid and themselves included if it meant they could win. It's uproarious as you can make it out to be. And once again, Season 8 of Friendship is Magic continues to be the worst season. Number 6. Spike at Your Service from Season 3, Episode 9. Applejack and Spike as the main characters of an episode. Oh boy. This episode was always going to be bad from the very beginning. Because Twilight is spending a lot of her time studying and reading up on books, Spike basically goes to ask anyone if they need any help with anything. Then there comes a point in the episode where Applejack needs help dealing with these tree wolves that come to life. Spike gets caught in the chaos and Applejack is able to save Spike. And because Applejack saved Spike, according to the Dragon Code, now has to be Applejack's servant until the end of time, or until Spike can save Applejack in return. So this episode really just paints Spike in a very bad light, because once again, I appreciate that Spike is willing to help and serve others, but at the same time, he's doing way too much trying to help too. Even Applejack is like, bro, take it easy, man. Like, just please, like, you don't have to do anything else for me. It's just crazy. But again, I love Spike, and again, he just needed a little more maturing and growing up to do. That's why I feel like the hate that Spike gets is unnecessary, and it frustrates me as well because a lot of these Spike episodes seem to really edge on the fact that Spike is just a kid and he doesn't know any better. But enough rambling there. So yeah, luckily, well not luckily, but a situation that sees Applejack get herself in trouble too, and Spike is able to save her, thus ending the Dragon Code once and for all. And of course, Twilight comes in very late, you know, from the episode because she was so busy with the studies. So again, there's nothing really likable about this episode. Like, I really felt defeated watching this episode. Because a problem that got created unnecessarily ended up creating more problems unnecessarily, which ended up getting solved, but it was all just very, very unnecessary. Number 5. Owl's Well That Ends Well. So I'm gonna be honest, this is the episode that cemented Twilight as my least favorite of the main 6 when I watched the series the first time around. Luckily, thank goodness, like I said in the favorite characters video, you know, her character progression got way better. But this episode in particular, I just felt like she was being very ignorant and very blissfully ignorant of the fact that Spike was trying to get her attention. Albeit though, Spike was definitely being too much with what he was doing, trying to get Twilight's attention. Also, why does this owl seem out to get Spike? Like, he seems like he wants to replace Spike and become Twilight's favorite for absolutely no reason. And then at the end of the episode, it's basically like, no, I'm your friend. Like, I don't get that. I really did not get the point of that. This was the very first Spike-centered episode in the series, and it definitely set the tone for how bad Spike episodes were going to be in this entire series. Also, I never realized this trope until recently, and I'm starting to regret even putting some of these tropes in my own comic dubs and stories that I've written. But why does everybody always run away from their problems in this series? Like, everybody always wants to run away from the issues rather than confront them. Number 4. No More Prances, Season 6, Episode 6. What's funny about season 6 is that it's actually a very underrated season of My Little Pony in my opinion. Like, it's just as good as some of the other seasons in the previous years, because it was the last good season before season 7, 8, and 9 came along. And even then, I would still say season 7 is better than season 8 and 9 easily. So, but enough about that. What about the episode itself? So, I'm not very fond of how Twilight is acting in this episode, because after convincing Starlight to be on the side of good and to learn how to make friends, and the one time Starlight does try to make a friend, the one friend that she has is with Trixie. And a pony who, may I mind you, even though she's given Twilight and the main 6 problems in the past, is virtually powerless unless she has some type of magic spell on her. So, literally, like, I don't understand why Twilight was being so fussy about Starlight being friends with Trixie. Because Starlight was a way more deadlier foe and villain to deal with than Trixie ever will be. We also get this running gag as well, because the reason why Twilight doesn't want Trixie and Starlight to be friends is because she's trying to impress Princess Celestia, who this running gag of her being at this party that Twilight sanctioned herself, and Celestia is just bored out of her mind there. Even with all the cake and desserts that's at the party that Celestia could be devouring right now, because we know she has a cake obsession. But yeah, overall, No More Prances was just another episode of Twilighting a lot of stuff unnecessarily. And again, this was the reason why I struggled to have sympathy for her the first time around when I watched the series. And had she kept Twilight in the situation, Trixie would have died and we never would have gotten the beautiful duo of Starlight and Trixie. Number 3. Over the Bell from Season 1, Episode 21. This episode tried to take a very sensitive subject and try to make it into this big powerful statement, but it just didn't land correctly. It did not land correctly at all. This episode comes off as very insensitive towards a lot of the indigenous and Native American people. Again, there's a lot of stereotypes in this episode. There's a lot of innuendos about, slavery and taking people's land that I know for a fact rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I can forgive the fact that even though this is a season 1 episode, so they were still trying to figure out a lot of the writing that was going to go into this show, but also in that same exact season, you have an episode like Bridal Gossip, which we're going to talk about in the next video, that handles a sensitive subject so much better than this episode did. And once again, Applejack is at the forefront of the episode, and once again, she's at her absolute worst in the first half of the episode. Thank goodness she lightened up a bit towards the end of the episode, even though I still think that she needed to be punished in some sort of way. Pinkie Pie, for as much as I love her, was also being insensitive in this episode as well with the outfit and the song. Rarity doesn't do too much in this episode, so I can't really have any positive or negative feelings towards her. The other 3 main 6 members, though, I definitely could say were definitely the best part of this episode, if I had to find anything good about it. Twilight was being diplomatic, as you should as a princess. Rainbow Dash sticking up for the buffalo was definitely a good moment. Also, the Fluttershy wants to be a tree meme also still brings me laughter to this day. Everything else about this episode, though, I could just do without, and that's even upon second rewatch. Number 2. One Bad Apple from Season 3, Episode 4. In this episode, we get to see Applejack's and Apple Bloom's cousin from Manhattan, Babseed. At first, when Babseed comes to town just to visit and hang with the CMC, she comes off as very shy and reserved and not really wanting to do with anyone, until the very moment that Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon come to make fun of the Crusaders, which then ends up seeing Babs, Apple Bloom's cousin, joining in with Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon to make fun of them and bully them as well. What? This is another mean-spirited CMC episode that, again, has really irked me so many times throughout the series. And despite how great the song is, everything else about this episode still just pisses me off when I even think about it. Seeing Babs bully her little cousin like that, along with her friends like that, was just absolutely disgusting and unneeded. And it's even more worse because it's driven by the fact that she doesn't want to be bullied, because apparently, according to Applejack later in the episode, she's dealing with being bullied back at home. So, you mean to tell me that this character, Babs, decided to join in on bullying just because she was being bullied back at home and she didn't want to deal with bullying again. What? And as much as the sinister side of me would love to see Babs gets what's coming to her, at the same time, she is just a little kid, so again, I don't want to see a kid die. It also paints TMC in a bad light too, because instead of them coming off as the good guys, they come off as just as bad as Babs was being. Again, there's no winners in this episode either. I also don't understand why Applejack didn't tell the CMC what was happening beforehand so they could have avoided all of this. Also, I'm very indifferent towards the fact that Babs never really got punished for bullying the CMC to begin with, and she kind of just gets off scot-free. That part irritated me as well, because I guarantee you, if it was the CMC that was in that position that Babs was in, they all would have gotten punished by Applejack and Big Mac. Huh. Ironic that I say that. Stick around for the #1 spot. But yeah, One Bad Apple, it's a bad episode, and definitely by far one of the worst CMC episodes. But somehow, it's not the worst CMC episode. There's a much worse episode than this in my personal opinion that just irritated me so much because virtually nobody was likable in that episode. But before we do that, we're going to do a recap, and then we're going to get to the #1 spot as usual, guys. So I'll see you guys in a few seconds. The Mysterious Mare Duel. Rainbow Dash needed to learn a lesson in humility, but this felt more torturous than anything else. The Mean Six. I hate this episode because we never really got a real conclusion to it, but the ponies made up at the end, so again, I'm not going to hate on it too much. A Trivial Pursuit. This episode is way worse than the overhated and I'ma just say it, underrated Feeling Pinky King. Newbie Dash. I get Rainbow Dash isn't the easiest person to be around, but this just felt way too mean-spirited. Just for Sidekicks. This episode is just more unnecessary Spike torture corn. Griffin the Brush Off. I really do hate that Gilda bitch. I really do hate that bitch. Okay guys, we are at the #1 spot on this list. This episode, like I said in the previous entry, it's a CMC episode, but it's an episode that no matter how many times I rewatch it, it still pisses me off to this very day, because virtually no one was likable in this episode. But yeah, the episode I'm talking about is Ponyville Confidential from Season 2, Episode 23. This episode was so unbelievably rage-baiting, it's just not even funny. So we start off the premise of the episode where basically the school that the CMC go to is basically starting a news column, and apparently the newspapers go out to all of the ponies in Ponyville. So Miss Chair Lee, the teacher, may I mind you, puts them in charge of the paper, and who does she put to be the boss of them? She puts Diamond Tiara. Are you kidding me? So on top of that, Miss Chair Lee doesn't supervise the CMC or Diamond Tiara on what stories they could or could not write, which then leads to CMC basically creating a lot of bogus stories about everyone in Ponyville, and that includes their family members as well. And so much so many people got offended by this that the whole town, including Rarity, Rainbow Dash, and Applejack, shun their own family members and don't speak to them and literally tell them to go away because they don't want to be bothered with them. Why is, like, that really made me angry to this day. And Diamond Tiara being the one to basically force CMC to write these stories just because she can, otherwise she was going to blackmail them with their own story. There's no winners in this episode. Again, virtually no one was likable in this episode. No matter how many times I try to rewatch it, no matter how many times I rewatch Diamond Tiara's redemption story, I still hate this episode. Because one, why are all the adults in this town getting upset about stories that they were basically gaslighting CMC into continue writing before the stories targeted them? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But unfortunately, we live in a world that's exactly like that. So yeah, none of the main 6 were likable here, except for Twilight, because Twilight was the only one who tried to stop this whole situation, and even then, I don't agree with Twilight doing what she did either, creating a force field around her house so that the CMC can't even bother to knock on the door for them. And if anybody comes out and says, oh, you would have done the same thing if these kids wrote stories about you, no, I would not have. Would I want to not be bothered with them? No. But if they wanted to talk to me about something, I would calmly explain to them why what they did was bad and wrong. Because again, they're just little kids. And yes, they needed to get punished, but I don't think the whole town shunning them for their actions is a punishment. That's more so just emotional abuse. And Diamond Tiara being a bitch that she usually is, but the person I'm most angry with in this episode, aside from everybody else, CMC, Diamond Tiara, and Adult Ponies, and the main 6, is Miss Cheerilee. Where the heck were you when these stories were being printed? Why did you not stop the iron from getting too hot when it first started getting a bit hot? That's what my issue with this episode is. I hate this episode so much. No matter how many times I rewatch it, I can't rewatch it because I get pissed off just thinking about it. And it's easily the worst My Little Pony episode in my opinion. Okay guys, and that's the end of this video. What you guys think of my rankings of the worst episodes? Did you guys agree? Did you guys disagree? What are some entries that you guys have questions about? Let me know in the comment section down below. And I'll try to answer them as best as I can. And we're going to get to the final video of My Little Pony that I plan on doing on this channel, and that is going to be the best episodes of My Little Pony. And for that, I'm debating on whether it being a top 20 or a top 15. So I'll figure that out when I get to it. But other than that, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe because it helps the channel grow. This is your boy Sly Lancy, and I'll see you guys in the next My Little Pony video. Friendship is magic.